Hi, everyone. It's John Mitchell, and welcome to Outcome 2, where we're going to be looking at the area of human resource management and different strategies that businesses can use to try and get the best out of their employees. Now, in today's video, we're going to look at the concept of human resource management and its relationship to the achievement of business objectives. So, human resource management is the area of the business that's responsible for managing the relationship between the employees and the business. Now, there's lots of different tasks and strategies that the human resource manager is responsible for and that they can implement to get the best out of employees. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we call the employment cycle, because it's just a really good way to look at the different types of tasks that the human resource manager or the area of human resources is involved in. So the employment cycle, it looks at the entire relationship between the business and the employee. Now, for the purpose of this outcome, you do not need to know the employment cycle or all the elements within the employment cycle. However, it can help give you a clear picture of what's actually involved when we're talking about human resource management. So as you can see here, we have tasks that are, I guess, establishing the relationship between the employee and the business. Now, the human resource manager, they've been involved in things like planning how many employees are actually required, what types of employees need to be brought into the business in terms of what skills and what abilities does the business need. They would then look at overseeing the whole recruitment process of bringing new employees into the business, as well as the selection process by organising things like job interviews and however the business is going to choose the employees that they want. They'll also be organising contracts for the employees, so in terms of payment. And we call this the establishment phase because what it's doing is it's establishing the relationship between the employee and the business. From there, the human resource manager would be responsible for inducting employees into the business so that they feel comfortable, when they first start within the business. Organising training to improve their skills. They would be managing performance. That could be done, for example, through what we call a performance appraisal, where the employees receive feedback from their supervisor or their manager on their performance and given direction on how they can improve. Human resource manager would also be involved in things like managing and resolving any disputes if they do arise within the workplace. And they need to ensure that the employees are receiving their pay and benefits, like their leave entitlements. And all this is trying to get the best out of the employees and getting them working to a higher level. And finally, the human resource manager is responsible for what we call termination. And that's where the employee leaves the business for whatever reason, whether it be the employee's choice to leave the business or if things haven't been going so well and something's happened and the business decides to make that choice to terminate the employment for the employee. Now, as I mentioned, you do not need to know this employment cycle. It's not part of the study design, but hopefully, just looking at it, this gives you a really clear understanding of the types of things the area of human resources is responsible for. Now, with all of those tasks that we've just looked at, the size of the business can often determine who is responsible for those tasks. So, for example, in a larger business, well, they may have an entire team of people helping manage the human resources within the business, and those people would be reporting to the human resource manager who oversees the whole area. However, smaller businesses, well, they probably don't have that luxury, and it could be that there's only a few employees, and maybe there's one owner, or it's a partnership and only a couple of owners. And there could be that, just one person is responsible for all of those tasks and trying to get the best out of employees. But no matter who is responsible, the aim is to get the best out of the employees, getting them in the right roles and getting them performing to a high level. So I guess now we need to answer the question, well, what does all of this have to do with business objectives? And so effective human resource management, well, it can ensure the employees are performing to a high level and working towards those business objectives. So they can do this by focusing on the tasks that we've mentioned, for example, by ensuring the best employees are in the right roles, by bringing the best employees into the business, by training them, continuously improving their skills and abilities, monitoring their performance and providing feedback on where they can improve, by motivating their employees, all those things that we spoke about before. All that helps get the employees working to a higher level. And we need to remember also that a business can have the same amount of money, they can sell the same products, have all the same resources, but they can't normally have the same employees. So, how they manage their employees can help them gain a competitive advantage. And by having employees performing to a higher level and aligning the work that they actually do to the objectives that the business is aiming to achieve, well, that can help the business achieve their objectives. So let's take a look at an example to try and demonstrate what we're talking about here. We've got Bunnings Warehouse. It's one of the businesses owned by the public listed company Wesfarmers. And one of the objectives of Bunnings Warehouse is to increase their sales revenue. Remember that sales revenue is the amount of money that comes into the business by selling their products. Now, while the business can implement marketing campaigns to try and achieve that goal, it will obviously be a really important strategy for them to achieve that. But the area of human resources also has a significant contribution to the achievement of that objective. Now, they can do this by providing extensive training. Well, they actually do this by providing extensive training to their employees. That includes things like product knowledge training so that the employees are able to help customers in store regarding different products. They also provide customer service training to ensure that the customers are receiving the best service possible. And that's one of their competitive advantage. Now, Bunnings Warehouse also includes things like rewards and recognition programs to help celebrate the employees that are actually meeting or exceeding the objectives that have been set. And the human resource area tries to motivate the employees by creating this collaborative environment where the employees feel really valued. And all this provides employees with the skills, the knowledge, and the drive to work hard towards the achievement of that objective. And in the last financial year, the overall Bunnings Group has increased their sales by 5.2% on the previous year. So, just to recap, human resource management is the area of the business that's responsible for managing the relationship between the employees and the business. It's the employees that are carrying out the task, which leads to the business achieving their objectives. And the area of human resources is aiming to get the best out of the employees and getting them performing to a really high level. And that helps the business achieve their objectives. And there's specific strategies that the human resource manager can implement to try and achieve that, to try and work towards those business objectives and get the employees performing to a high level. And many of those we're going to look at in more depth throughout this outcome. So that brings us to the end of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we're going to start looking at how businesses can motivate their employees. Until then, just remember that for questions, activities, and help in your VCE journey, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.